Okay, hello, welcome to another reading video. So today I'm going to just do a little bit of a mid-year check-in. We're going to run through the 40 books that I read in the first half of the year. Going to share my star rating, which is relatively fluid. It definitely depends on how I'm feeling that day. Then I'm going to talk through a few goals that I have for the remainder of 2025. So I did break this out into genres. So if you are particularly interested in one genre versus another, I'll put some timestamps in the description box below. But starting with my favorite category, which is sci-fi/fantasy, and most of these are definitely fantasy. I did not have very much sci-fi, but what else is new? The very first book that I read in 2025 was The Will of the Many by James Islington. This is following an overpowered young protagonist who starts out as an orphan and is quickly escalated into higher ranking society, put into this high stakes academic setting in a Roman inspired colonialistic world. There are a variety of power dynamics at play, as well as a few mysteries that are unfolding throughout the course of this first installment, and I rated this 5 stars. Number 2, we have A Master of Jinn by P. Jelly Clark, where we have strong female leads who are battling against jinn from another universe, who are definitely strong enough to literally enslave all of humanity, yet always maintaining this kind of low stakes vibe and full of whimsical side characters and mystery. The Atlas Complex by Olivia Blake, the third and final installment of the Alice trilogy, a wordy and overwritten exploration of a magic-filled world following 6 different characters across New York, London, and Paris, while also reflecting on power and ambition in these individuals. 4 stars. Winterkeep by Kristen Kishore, book 4 out of 5 in a young adult standalone interconnected series. In this installment, we follow a teenage daughter of politically powerful and often violent parents, where our protagonist has to make decisions that go against her family, go against her parents, and try to undo the damage that they have done in this world. Also with magical telepathic foxes. 3.75 stars. All 3 books of The Lord of the Rings by J.R.R. Tolkien. This is a classic fantasy following a hero's journey through a rich world with a variety of friends and foes. 4.5 stars. The Green Hollow Duology by Emily Tesh, a gothic and eerie tale that confronts dark fae in the woods with a dash of wry humor. 4 stars. A Prayer for the Crown Shy by Becky Chambers, the second installment of the charming monk and robot duology, following a young monk and their robot companion as they travel through the world, discuss life and what it means to be living in this world as they also deepen their friendship. 2.75 stars. Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep by Philip K. Dick, aka Blade Runner. This is a dystopian novel where all animal life has become incredibly sparse, and we compare and contrast what it means to be human with the latest Android models. 3.75 stars. The Emperor's Soul by Brandon Sanderson, a standalone novella that does take place in the Cosmere with an Asian-inspired stamp-based magic system that reflects on what it means to be an artist and what makes art authentic. 5 stars. Piranesi by Susanna Clark, a short novel in an isolated setting following a man as he discovers more about the world around him and about himself in the process as the mystery of the novel unfolds. 4.5 stars. Okay, getting into nonfiction. Laziness Does Not Exist by Devin Price, a meandering, almost memoir style, self-help style book that circles these ideas around productivity and ableism. 2 stars. The Fire Next Time by James Baldwin, 2 essays reflecting the author's experience growing up in Harlem and how it shaped his identity. 4.25 stars. 4,000 Weeks, Time Management for Mortals by Oliver Burkeman, a wake-up call for productivity enthusiasts and a reminder that hard, thoughtful prioritization is required for living an intentional life. 5 stars. Feel Good Productivity, How to Do More of What Matters to You by Ali Abdaal. A fun and refreshing approach to productivity that prioritizes health and happiness and provides relevant, helpful practices, particularly I think for those managing ADHD. 4.75 stars. Vantage Points on Media as Trans Memoir by Chase Joint, a reflection on the author's family history as well as their personal trauma through the lens of media criticism. 2.5 stars. If Not Winter, Fragments of Sappho, edited and translated by Anne Carson. Sparse yet beautifully lush lines of poetry about love, friendship, emotions in ancient Greece, collected and presented in a very easily digestible context. 5 stars. Badass Habits. This is a long one. Cultivate the awareness, boundaries, and daily upgrades you need to make them stick by Jen Sincero. Basically what it says on the tin, sprinkled with plenty of anecdotes, humor, and daily affirmations. 2.5 stars. All right, next we have the romance category. So I think a lot of contemporary romance in this past 6 months, most of which did not particularly stand out, but alas, The Long Game by Elena Armas. A Miami-based social media manager moves to small-town North Carolina to coach a youth soccer team alongside a professional soccer player who was trying to stay out of the media spotlight. 1.5 stars. The Fae Princes by Nikki St. Croix, the 4th and final installment of a very short Peter Pan retelling that is very spice-forward, but with a really fun B-plot of Peter Pan versus his rival Tinkerbell. 4.5 stars. In the Weeds by BK Borison, big city social media influencer has quarter-life crisis and runs away to this charming small town to figure out her next steps, where she meets a handsome farmer. 3 stars. A Perfect Vintage by Chelsea Fagan, following an American in the French countryside during the summer, where she is confronted with her workaholic tendencies, her crumbling friendships and relationships, and a budding age gap romance. 3.5 stars. Persuasion by Jane Austen, witty commentary on society in the early 1800s, with a largely character-driven narrative and a dash of romance. 4 stars. Lost and Lassoed by Lila Sage, a contemporary cowboy romance taking place on a beautiful Wyoming horse ranch, where the main character starts helping out her best friend's brother, who also happens to be a single dad in need of a babysitter. 3.5 stars. The High Dive by Chelsea Fagan, a contemporary romance that takes place on a yacht that highlights wealth disparity and inequality in a fun, summery setting. 3.5 stars. General fiction. The Thursday Murder Club by Richard Osman. Cute, witty, and heartwarming characters attempt to solve a murder at their retirement home, full of very classic, dry British humor, a hint of found family, and occasionally very poignant lines about life and relationships. 4 stars. A Spy in the House of Love by Anais Nin. Highly introspective writing from the point of view of an unreliable narrator who is dodging all of her responsibilities in a noir-esque style New York. 2.5 stars. Lucky You by Carl Hyacin, a multi-POV romp through 1990s Florida as our main character attempts to steal back a prize-winning lottery ticket, complete with an array of quirky, unlikable, yet entertaining characters. 3.5 stars. Life Ceremony by Sayaka Murata, a collection of short stories that challenges the reader's idea of what is considered normal. 3 stars. My Brilliant Friend by Elena Ferrante, book 1 of a 4-part series that follows 2 young women as they are coming of age and navigating a very tight-knit neighborhood community in 1950s Naples. 5 stars. All right, last section is graphic novels. We've got Yona of the Dawn, Volume 11, a fun romp with a band of characters that is the embodiment of found family, full of banter, unrealized romantic tension, and a dash of imperial politics. 3.5 stars. And lastly, we've got Invincible, Volumes 3 through 9, a coming-of-age story that shows superpowered individuals as flawed humans with flawed morality in a very flawed world, averaging 3.75 stars. All right, that is everything I read in the first half of 2025. My favorite by far is definitely The Emperor's Soul by Brandon Sanderson. I just love the way that the philosophy is woven in with the magic system and really drives the plot overall. Everything just works together in a way that was really satisfying between the character work, the plot, the magic, the setting, and the kind of moral reflective nature of the story. All came together in a way that made a lot of sense and left me thinking for many weeks after I put it down. Looking forward to the second half of the year. First of all, I want to finish the Neapolitan Quartet, which I started My Brilliant Friend in the spring. I want to finish those books by the end of the year. Secondly, I am working on finishing Invincible by the end of the year, as well as finishing some series and trilogies that I'm in the middle of so that I can start some new ones in 2026. In terms of general reading goals, I am trying to be way more picky about books that I'm picking up, as well as the books that I'm adding to my TBR. I'm trying to be very, very particular about what's getting added to my TBR going forward. When I click a book that I want to read on Goodreads, I am then later going back and considering, do I really want to commit to this book? Gonna let this book take up brain space for me for the foreseeable future, and I'm gonna be a little bit more discerning about that going forward. Aside from that, I just want to take my time and try to enjoy my reading. I've been a very critical reader the past few years, and I'd like to kind of shift my mindset to be a little more looking for the positives and looking for the things that I like, and maybe not get so caught up on the things that I don't like. Maybe putting books down more frequently. I DNF'd 3 books this year, which is more than I've ever done in any years prior. I'm trying to incorporate more of that into my reading. I have been auditing my TBR and removing a lot of books from that list. At one point, I was at about 380 books on that list at some point this year, and I've been taking multiple passes to remove books. The more I read, the more I get a sense of what I like and don't like, and also I put a lot of books on that list when I had different aspirations and different curiosities than I do right now. So trying to keep that list a little bit shorter and being really, really particular about what I add on, knowing that if I pick that book up, I'm probably going to commit to it. So by reading books as well as just deleting books off of that list, I have now gotten down to 310, and I would like to get down to under 300. So as long as I continue to not put on more books than I read, then I will be in good shape. That is the mindset I'm trying to go into the second half of the year with. Let me know what your goals are for the rest of the year, maybe your favorite book that you've read so far this year. Leave me a book stack emoji in the comments if you made it this far. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in another video soon.